listening to Jet on Metal Messiah Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight we have with us as our guest drummer Carlos Cruz of the thrash metal band Warbringer. Welcome to the show, Carlos.
Thank you, Jet. Thanks for having me.
So, of course, before we get into the interview, we just kind of want to check in, how are things doing out there with all that's been going on, Carlos?
Yeah, as far as that's concerned, myself and my family and, close friends are all taking the proper precautions. The mayor of Los Angeles continues to extend this quarantine, and I think that ultimately for the best. I'd rather everybody do what they need to do now and contain themselves. That way we can all, the longer we resist, the longer it's going to take in order to get back to life as we usually have it. So luckily everything here is good. That gives me a lot of time to work on new music, new ideas, projects, etc. So, yeah, I'm taking it in stride, definitely.
Okay, well, that's good, and we're glad to hear everybody's doing okay out there, at least in your family. So we'll jump right into our thing. So tell us a little bit about yourself. When did you start getting interested in drums, and was drums the first instrument that you played?
Music runs in my family. It goes back to my grandfather, which is my father's father. So he started off as a musician in Mexico in the 40s and 50s. That was passed on to my father, who passed it on to, I have two older sisters, so my elder sister is also a musician and involved in music. So I've been surrounded by it my entire life. I probably didn't pick it up until I was about 10 years old. Like, I didn't want to, I was always surrounded by it, like I said, whether it was live music, family parties, instruments all over the house. So I might have dabbled here and there, but I didn't pick it up seriously to, train myself or want to learn anything or have any kind of real interest in instruments until I was about 10. And the drums were my first instrument, seriously. It's funny, there's some family footage from, a party back in when I was around 2 years old, and there is a live band playing, so at one point I got up behind the drum set and just started whacking it, like I knew what I was doing. But it goes, there's video proof that it goes back that far, so it's pretty cool.
So did you ever take any lessons along the way?
Not necessarily formal lessons, mainly self-taught. I would pick songs that I felt were tangible, something simple. I usually started off with basic stuff that my elder sister or my cousin would show me, stuff like the Ramones, anything really direct like that, so I could train my ear, and then just kind of have fun playing it. I didn't take it too seriously on the training side at first. It was more about just having fun. So along the way through doing various tours these days, I did take some time aside with some of the elder drummers that I'd look up to, who I was fortunate enough to be on tour with, like Ben Tor from Creator or Jason Rulo of Symphony X, and I did learn a lot from them being on the road, and then just having our own conversations about drumming and learning everything I could from watching. Definitely a visual learner, so watching and being involved in it as the ultimate experience and lesson for sure.
So what was the first kit that you ever owned?
I don't think that it was any particular name brand. I do remember it being a solid black finish, probably a standard 5-piece kick snare, 2-rack tom and a floor. I don't recall the brand, to be honest, but it was just a basic setup that my father had for his groups that would rehearse here, and then my sister would use it for her garage bands when she was in high school. So I know for sure I started on something of the sort, and then as I became more interested in it, I would look into kits that were affordable, but a little better quality. So I just kind of leveled up every so often until my sister was gifted this badass Remo drum set. It was pretty unique. We live in the valley, the San Fernando Valley of California, and the Remo factory is in Valencia, maybe about 20 minutes north. My father had a good friend there, and got a hookup. It was, I believe it was called Acousticon wood. It's like this black shell, and it had this blue Bud Light can kind of wrapped finish around it. So that was my main drum kit for several years. I really stepped my game up on that one because it had so many. Came with 8 pieces.
Wow.
So that was the most serious one for sure.
And what kind of kit are you currently playing on?
Right now it's going to be Pearl drums. I have an endorsement with Pearl drums, fantastic company because they do great shells, hardware, and pedals. So I'm playing their black finish still, and it is the Session Studio Classic model, which is a hybrid of Kapoor and birchwood, so really round, really boomy, really nice
Okay, so now getting on to Warbringer, you started in Warbringer in 2011. So were you a fan of the band before you joined in? Did you know any of the members previously to getting into the band?
Yes, big time. I was a fan long before, pretty much when their first demo released, I was within, like, the scene, so to speak. So they started up around 2004, and they started to congregate in different places within L.A. with bands from further north and further south. So I saw them with, like, my first garage band. I remember going to one of their shows in about 2006 when their first demo came out, and I saw them prior. So we had known each other since. So as they grew in the scene and continued, with releasing, their debut record once they got signed, I was doing the same with another local band in L.A. So we always kept in touch, and we were always good friends.
So how did you get the gig with Warbringer?
At the time, they were going to go their separate ways with the drummer they had who played on their second record. At the time, I think it was like late 2010, and I was pretty much doing the same. A lot of the people in my band were older, so they wanted to pursue, their education seriously, university, what have you. Mm-hmm. And just from that standpoint, I was available. They were looking, and then John Locke, the guitar player at the time, he always kept tabs on me. He was like, you know what, I love watching you play, and I love what you're about because you play this extreme kind of music, but you usually, every time I've seen you, you're playing a four-piece, as if you were like Ringo Starr, you know what I mean, or something of the sort. And I would just make it sound as big as possible with, a limited amount of drums, because usually, multiple local shows, there's so many bands, everybody brings their own kit, the stages are usually small, or sometimes you get a cool support gig, but there's no room in front of their drum set, etc. So I always like to adapt the size of my drum set, accordingly. So that was pretty much late 2010 is when Warbringer seriously approached me to start just jamming with them, and then that ultimately turned into something great, so it stuck.
So what were you doing, like, prior to being in Warbringer?
It was another local band out of the same scene. It was called Hexen. So similar type of music, Los Angeles thrash metal band, influenced by, the great, your Megadeth, etc. So I was playing with that group. We signed a deal, independent deal, and put out a first record. And as we were kind of trickling along, the same scene of playing with the same groups in LA as Warbringer, they took off once they got signed and started touring seriously. So it was just kind of doing everything we could to match what they were doing. We saw their tour dates rack up, 5 months at a time. And, we're still over here just playing, every weekend if we were lucky. So that's ultimately it. It was just LA band grinding as usual until I got this opportunity.
Okay, so today we're here to talk a little bit about your new album, Weapons of Tomorrow. So what does the band talk about when writing a new album as to what you are going for, or was some of the material already previously written?
This time around it was the continuation from our last record. Around late 2015, John Kevill and I got back in touch. John Kevill, the singer of Warbringer, we got back in touch and started to rebuild the band with members that we felt strongly about. People we could trust, people we could see ourselves growing with. So we pretty much contained it to him, myself, and the other original guitarist, Adam Carroll, as far as writing music. So we kept it to the core component of the band. We have similar influences we had written prior on previous records. So at that point, it was really just a continuation of what we were doing on our last album. So it usually starts with myself presenting music, or guitarist Adam Carroll having a few musical ideas that I would then kind of help with arrangements and structure, and then John would come in and put his lyrics and any kind of lyrical theme on top of it. Or there's a new instance where more than ever John has come forward with a title, maybe already some lyrics, maybe a hook of some sort vocally with no music. So it's cool to work in that dynamic where we write underneath, or, in accordance to what he has presented in his head, because he doesn't play an instrument, so he can only really write rhythmically and kind of we call it the Beavis and Butthead kind of, the way you would mouth the riff, you know what I mean?
Sure,
kind of
yeah.
So he would exactly, whatever, just to get the point across.
So
it's worked that way for the last two records.
And did you find anything, like, challenging writing for this album at all?
Not necessarily challenging. Challenging in the fact that we were pushing the boundaries that the band had set up, whether it was extreme, and what I mean by that is just how intense the music could be, whether it was going to be something faster than we'd ever done, something more intricate, more progressive, or the opposite, something more melodic, something slower, something more brooding, taking a chance in that other direction. So challenging for ourselves as far as the technical capability, maybe as players, not necessarily the songwriting part of it.
And of course, now speaking of the songwriting part, I know you're not the lyricist, so I won't go into big details. But what are some of like the basic themes in this album?
John, our singer's always had an affinity for history, world history, so he dives into something in immense detail whenever he's like really excited about it. So it ranges. It could go, on subject matters from that, whether it be, the advancement of weaponry, technology, how it affected, earlier time periods of the human race to how it affects us now, or other lyrical topics, whether it be like conspiracy stuff, when it deals with like, this particular group hired assassins, so different times, places, dates, etc. So if there's different points in history he likes to sing about, cool. There's some interesting stuff there that works well with metal. Or he'll go the other way. More so on this record, he decided to go the other way, look inward, get a little more personal, and either talk about, the state as a human being in today's society, you know what I mean, the way we live through the window of our telephone, or the personal things you can think of that are negative, depression, suicide, etc. That all kind of plays a role in just giving extreme music that much more of an extreme context.
How would you say you guys have progressed as a band over the years?
The progression usually comes, the true test of it is on the road. And that's the real practice, when fans do come out, how many of them come out, and regardless of the number, we give 100% every single night, and we know that they give 100% every single night. So that's the real test when it comes down to really honing in your craft. If I play drums 60 days in a row, hour sets every night, by the end of it, I'm going to be a hell of a lot better shape, I'll tell you that much. And as much as cleaning up my act and really working on my craft, there's always room for improvement. So the same goes for the others, where when you hear Warbringer's first record, it sounds like a bunch of kids, in a garage, dirty, raw, pretty sloppy. And then you hear our newest record, and you hear the refinement of it. So it's been 10 years of like really practicing on the road, and every day is just new room for growth and improvement, whether it's personally or on your instrument.
And I know, of course, a lot of the tours have been canceled or anything, but when you are touring and you are out on the road, how do you keep yourself in shape and keep yourself from getting sick? I mean, you're not really having the best nutritional needs being met during these. So, I mean, as a drummer, which is very, physical, how do you keep all that stuff in check?
It started with me personally as a teenager. I come from a family that's quite tall, quite obese, so I was born with those genetics as well. I was always the tallest and the biggest kid in my class, whether it was kindergarten or up to senior year. I'm 6'4" in height, and peak weight I was about 350, and now I'm around 220. So it's been a big practice and a discipline in keeping myself in check, and luckily that's something I carry with me. Just, as a trait for myself. So that translates on the road, so I do my best, especially knowing how physical, like we were talking, how physical this job can be, especially playing this kind of music. If I was playing pop, it might be a little different, but I'm over here playing extreme metal, for hours on end, for months on end as well. So, there's a definite, you kind of get into your groove, you know what I mean? This is my sleep pattern now on the road, therefore this is kind of the when and where I should eat. So here's my show time, here's my schedule. So, if showtime's here, I know not to eat, too close to it. I have my routine for warming up, stretching, hitting the practice pad, getting on stage, kind of getting in my zone before I hit the stage. And then, you kind of have your vices. Some people smoke, some people drink, some people, etc. So you work around those as well,
And do you have, like, some people that I talk to have, like, little rituals they do before they go on stage? Like, I know, like, Scotty Fuller from Morbid Angel, like, I eat bananas so my legs won't cramp up and shit like that. So do you have any, like, little rituals or stuff like that you do before you go on stage?
Not necessarily a ritual, but I'll give myself a good amount of time, usually an hour before showtime, to warm up the blood, stretch. That's a big one because, we're hauling ass for an hour straight, no breaks, and, using all four of our limbs, simultaneously. So I definitely need to be limber in order to, prevent myself from, like, getting strained, any kind of injury, all that damn lactic acid buildup could be a motherfucker,
Yeah, hell yeah.
And, so hydration, pre-show, during show, and then after the show, I'll usually have some sort of protein drink just to put back in what I lost, instead of stuffing myself with food, just a quick liquid to kind of put it back in, just to keep my body in check, and then, on to the next one.
And of course, like we were talking about how no touring or anything going on. So it's all currently at a standstill. So what are you doing to, like, keep your chops up and stuff like that during this time?
Luckily, there's, pads and electric kits or self-contained studios when there's, not too many people, whether it's like myself and other bandmates or myself and, close personal friends who I trust to be around, when these times are pretty peculiar and everybody would like to keep their physical distance.
Right.
If it's just a studio for myself, cool, I can go play at my leisure, which I have in downtown. It's just a far drive from where I live. So that's pretty much it. Luckily I have the resources around me to either play at home, as capable as I can, or just head out to the studio and give it a real go.
And now, do you do any, special practicing to keep up, like, your endurance? And I know some people have, like, I don't know, like tension pedals or something like that to get, like, their leg strength going. Do you do any of that kind of thing?
Besides personal, like, exercise, calisthenics, yoga, stuff like that, strengthen my body in order to hit harder, play faster. There's that aspect of it where it's a very physical thing. And then applying it to the kit, usually the one thing for my feet, I'll usually practice with ankle weights for the sake of, like, control. And then, you take them off and you feel obviously so much lighter, so you can really push yourself and see how fast you can really go if that's, like, what you're after. So there'll be stuff like that that's more like a physical need. And it's like a physical improvement on yourself and how you apply that to the drum kit, or I'll usually just want to have fun. If there's, like, a new lick or a new, like, chop that came about, from watching other drummers online who I admire, or if maybe I'm listening to this new band that has wicked drummer and I hear something and I'm going, what is he doing? I've got to figure it out. I might learn different types of new songs from different groups, whether it's progressive type of band or fusion group, or new heavy metal stuff, because they're always pushing the limit on, the double bass and the blasting. So I always go for it as, like, not necessarily like a study and not like, very, I find that the best education is in the practice, for sure. But my main goal was always to have fun with it and enjoy it, not sit there like a chore. You know what I mean?
Right. So what's your current setup, Carlos?
It varies. Depending on the tour, like I said, sometimes when we're support band and we play in front of, the headlining act, there's not a lot of space left, and there's 5 people in Warbringer, so I kind of have to adapt, and I get comfortable with it. So luckily, besides Warbringer, over the past year, like beginning of 2018, a lot of new projects kind of came into play, and I was able to play with a lot of different cool groups. So everything from going up north and working with the band Machine Head, as they were doing some new music. So with them, I had a massive configuration, and we recorded some stuff. One of the songs was released. It's called Do or Die. That was released late 2019 as they were touring. I believe there'll be another one that I played on later this year. Hopefully it's released as a single. So for them, it was 2 bass drums, two racks, 2 floor, and then I incorporated 2 roto toms. They're Pearl's Rocket toms,
cool,
kind of like octobans. So, there you have a pretty extensive kit, floor tom on my right, another floor tom on my left, as opposed to 2 floor toms on your right. And, for them, it was a very extensive kit with every single type of cymbal you could imagine.
We must have been a lot of fun then.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that's what they demanded. That's their sound. That's what makes that band.
Right.
That band.
Right.
So but from something like that in a machine head setting, I went to playing with the band Power Trip over the summer
Oh, cool.
in Europe for a European festival run. And for them, it's meat and potatoes. I had a kick, snare, rack, floor, hi-hat, two crash, and a ride. Only single pedal, no double bass allowed in that band.
Wow.
So, to the point. So, I got comfortable playing with both bands in their context. So I've been able to take that and bring it into Warbringer and completely adapt to whatever the situation is. So if I have the chance to play the Monster double bass kit for Warbringer Live, I will. If I don't, and we're setting up in front with no space, then 4-piece it is, and I'll give you, everything I got regardless of the kit.
So getting back to the album too, what formats is it going to be released in, and where can people go to pick up a copy?
So now with the quarantine, unfortunately, like we said prior, all the tours are canceled. So hours are being rescheduled for late fall. Hopefully that actually comes into play and everybody can get back to work, because I know everybody's getting a little, tense being indoors all the damn time. So yeah, the record comes out on April 24th, and it will be released digitally on all your streaming services, so you can either purchase it or stream it online. You can get it, via CD. It'll be released on vinyl. And those are your three big mediums. I'm pushing for a cassette just because that's pretty badass. It's just a cool medium, that I own myself and I collect myself, so I'd like to see it on cassette. And you can either get it directly from the band and the band's website. I'll be putting up pre-orders directly from us and our stock that we're going to get fairly soon now that the month is approaching. And you can also get it from our record label. It's called Napalm Records, so they will have bundles, exclusive merch, and all of the formats of the physical music, merch, different types of box sets that come with other stuff, skateboards, all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. I saw that you guys had skateboards. Now I'm assuming those are a limited quantity, and who did the art for those skateboards?
It was a good friend of ours. His name's Hugo Juarez, who is in LA. He's an LA artist, graphic designer. His company is called Heavy Defender Studios, so we've been collaborating with him for a good amount of time now for merchandise, singles, different types of artwork. So he made that artwork for the song Firepower Kill, which is the first single off of the new record. So that was the single we released. And the artwork was so good, it suits the color scheme because of the blue and the silver of the new album. So we figured that worked really well to kind of go in that direction from our usual red and gold. So a shift on the color scheme of the band as well for this new record to give it just a nice separation from the norm. And that was the gentleman who did that artwork for us.
So do you have one of the skateboards yet?
Not yet. I asked for a few of them. When we were on tour in the fall, we met up with the majority of the label reps in New York, and we were talking, just kind of catching up. And one of them had brought up the idea of doing an exclusive skateboard for a box set or a promo package or a bundle, and it was a cool idea. So that's the first time I've ever participated in collabing with skateboard companies to get something made, but it worked out well. It's pretty badass.
Well, there you guys go. Warbringer has a new album out April 24th off Napalm Records. And again, you could pick it up through the band or through the record site. And Carlos, thanks for taking the time to do this interview with us tonight, and all the best to you and the band.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us, Chet. Yeah, keep kicking ass out there.